Sonic the Hedgehog movie is just about to be released, and wow, what a U-turn this film has taken for the better. It's gone from being something that I was uncomfortable thinking about to a film that I'm undeniably super excited for. I've got sucked into the movie hype and following the redesign from dear old Ratboy into quite possibly my favourite Sonic design of all time. It's safe to say that I've gone down a rabbit hole of Sonic movie related media. It's also created an awkward conundrum where I have to pick between the two loves of my life, my girlfriend and Sonic the Hedgehog when the film releases on Valentine's Day. Such are the cruel realities of life. How the hell do I do both? While I intend on covering the movie when it releases, I know I won't be the first to shed my thoughts on it. A whole bunch of press were invited to premieres all over and will have no doubt beat me to the punch already when their reviews drop after the embargo ends on the 14th. Cheers for the invite, by the way. But given the history of the channel and the over 700,000 views relating to the Hedgehog's design last year, I thought it was pretty key that I covered just why the Sonic the Hedgehog movie has become something that I, a pretty hardcore Sonic fan, is now really looking forward to. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel and like the video, or dislike it if you don't enjoy it. Tons of time goes into making these videos, and I'm trying to push on to my goal of 20,000 subscribers as fast as they turned around that Sonic redesign. So, I'm the Artist Mark Flynn, and today we're going to break down the key reasons why I'm stoked for the Sonic movie and why I think you should be too. Reason 1. The cast seem to genuinely care. So one of the things that I've done a lot of recently is binge a number of interviews with the main cast members. The Rotten Tomatoes and Fox 5 DC interviews were especially good quality. I think the reason I watched so many of these and wanted to see more of them is largely down to how the cast talk about Sonic. It is clear that they definitely care about this film. From interviews with Jim Carrey to James Marsden to Ben Schwartz, a love of the character himself, the characters they themselves play, and the movie itself has really shone through. Of course, these are press outlets, and it is the cast's jobs to sell us on their movie, so a job well done on their part, but at the same time they have also felt very authentic and suggest a real passion for this project. All of these main cast members seem to have had a lot of fun working on this film, and their words in their respective interviews give me a lot of hope from both an acting and directing perspective. Ben Schwartz, for example, is someone I'm a pretty big fan of anyway. I thought he was tremendous in Parks and Recreation as Jean-Ralphio, though I've only seen clips. He does a great job in DuckTales, and more recently he's appeared in Game Grumps guest episodes where he's done a tremendous job displaying just how passionate he is about video games in general. In his interview he speaks highly of the script, whilst also mentioning that he was allowed to improvise in many scenes even though everything didn't make the cut, even going as far to record his own Sega style film intro, which he unfortunately confirms didn't make it in. Ben does have some pretty awesome comedy chops, and I think scenes that allow him to do this will only strengthen Sonic's character and make him more likeable and relatable to an audience. As far as scripts go, of course he's not going to rag on the film he's the titular character for, but for someone who does seem pretty honest and knowledgeable of comedy in general, I'm hoping he's right on the film having some good writing. I know some of the stuff I've seen already has really made me laugh and taken me by surprise in some places. James Marsden adds some weight to this in his interviews by confirming that Sonic is a film that isn't just for kids and can be enjoyed by both young audiences and fans of the original game. That sounds promising. Please don't just be hyping us up for no reason. The coolest takeaways from these though have to be some of Jim Carrey's comments about taking on the role of Robotnik. When he was first announced for the role, there was this 50-50 take on him. Everyone can appreciate his amazing comedy roles of the past, but would he do the character justice and live up to his name? Well, I look forward to judging, but based on his interview, he seems to have had an amazing time working on the film and even mentions that he'd really like to work on a sequel if the chance arose. The actor has always been apprehensive of doing big sequels, and it highlights he still thinks the character has some depth left to explore. It's obviously a huge polar opposite to Bob Hoskins' reaction to finishing the Super Mario Bros. Movie way back when. He gives a really interesting description of how he sees Robotnik too, which I'm completely on board with, describing the character's psyche in this way. Sonic is the innocence he can no longer connect with. He wants to own it, but he can never be it. This is a pretty cool take that looks at the deeper characterization of Robotnik that I really enjoy. It's a really simple look in at the character that describes his relationship with Sonic perfectly. At the same time, it also reminds me of other Sonic related media. If you enjoy this perspective and fancy a closer look at Sonic and Eggman's relationship under a very artistic lens, I'd recommend checking out the short film The Hedgehog. It won't be for everyone and it is pretty depressing, but if you're anything like me, you'll enjoy it. I'd also recommend checking out these interviews, and if you agree or disagree with me on any of these points, thoughts, please let me know. I think it's clear that the actors are speaking in good faith and believe in the film. Reason 2. The marketing push has been insane. The marketing push so far for this movie has been absolutely astounding. This is purely speculative, but I think Paramount was sleeping on this film a bit to begin with. It was a project that had travelled from studio to studio, and I think there was a lack of confidence in Sonic as a property, hence why the original Goofy design had been decided upon. Because this, somehow in their minds, translated to a more accessible Sonic design for a mainstream audience. Thankfully, ever since the redesign fiasco happened, has felt far more in the spirit of Sonic, and it feels like Paramount saw the negative outcry and thought about how they could turn this negative perception into a positive one. Where I live in the UK, Sonic is a household name, but in a mainstream sense, largely for his achievements in the past. He's still popular with kids, he's still popular with teens, but it really isn't comparable to his universal appeal back when it was Sega versus Nintendo. If anyone gets upset with this comment, I do think you need to be realistic about Sonic here and try to see where I'm coming from at least. I'm one of his biggest fans and can say this quite confidently. So from my perspective, seeing the character covering London buses and driving around the city is something that is so incredibly surreal, and it really has astounded me that I've literally not seen a single take, mostly online because I'm a YouTuber and do not know what the outside world is, about the film that has been negative, mocking of the character or anything like that. The character has had an amazing media presence with tons of TV spots and online ads. Sonic's been a master of viral trends. Dropping that Baby Sonic stuff around the time of Baby Yoda wasn't a coincidence, and we've even had a Super Bowl ad that saw Sonic working alongside some of the world's best athletes. Even at the time of writing this video, I'm discovering new bits of advertising such as Sonic commentating over the top of a Canadian hockey game. Weird. Really quite bizarre. #CatchSonic has been a pretty effective marketing campaign from start to finish, and is a real testament to how well the character can be adapted to any form of marketing. He's even had his own trainers released simultaneously with Puma, which I think are ugly as hell, but I'm sure down the line we may even see his movie trainers up for sale. The coolest thing I've seen for the film as of yet is the official music video that dropped just over a week ago. It's not something I expected to love as much as I have, but it really is a great movie style track that encapsulates Sonic the Hedgehog's attitude in probably the most successful way that a mainstream style bit of music could. It has end credits written all over it and gives me serious Into the Spider-Verse vibes, which isn't a bad thing in the slightest. More than anything else, it's just so abundantly apparent how much money has been pumped into the advertising of this movie, and it's clear that Paramount is banking on this one being a success. I really hope for Sonic's sake it doesn't tank. As well as these numerous bits of media and trends, we've even had the character popping up in video games, such as the free-to-play Sonic Dash, which gives us movie Sonic in a video game for the first time. A really clever tie-in. Honestly, I think they should have released a free DLC pack for Sonic Forces and Sonic Mania 2. I can't imagine it would have taken much more effort to make these changes, but I can understand only so much is possible, and it's probably easier for them to strike a deal with the mobile team, given that nobody is probably working on Mania and Forces anymore. It's really cool to see this design, and Baby Sonic I guess, in a game though, and it leads me to my final point. 3. Sonic has never looked better. We've discussed at length how much better this design actually is when compared to the original movie depiction of Sonic when the leaks first emerged, but given we've had time to actually accept this new design now, that this is a great Sonic design, not just a better version of a bad design, that we're grateful to see. The more I've actually seen it in action, the more I've enjoyed it, and I'd even go as far as saying that this might be the best Sonic has ever looked. Some of the recent shots and angles of him that have emerged in movie clips and music videos are absolutely amazing to me. They really do feel like the big screen version of the character that I've always wanted to see. The different colour arms aren't a big deal, in fact I think I actually prefer them. He's animated beautifully, and in partnership with Ben Schwartz's voice acting, I think he may actually be the perfect Sonic. He's got this amazing sense of childishness that still mixes with Sonic's attitude-focused expressions and poses. I'm really looking forward to seeing a full film focused around this character. The shoes, oddly enough, just seem to be a recolor of existing Puma trainers, and it's crazy because they literally look like the perfect trainers for Sonic the Hedgehog. It modernised the design of his classic ones perfectly in a way that is completely faithful. Crazy really how some things work out. I will raise some skepticism at the inclusion of Baby Sonic. Obviously, got to see how the story pans out, and I'm sure a few people disagree with me, but I don't really like this design anywhere near as much. It looks a bit too goofy for me, I don't find it cute, in fact I find these teeth quite terrifying, but honestly we've not not seen much of it yet, and I'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now. It doesn't sour on what is for me one of the most amazing looking designs I've ever seen. So all in all, there's a lot to be excited for with this film, and these are just some of the reasons why I think that the film looks like it could be a pretty strong adaptation. Of course, the reality could be very different, but I think at worst we're going to end up with a film that is just average. And for a film about video games, that's certainly not the worst possible outcome. It's a really funny thing to think about now, but given the shift that this film has seemingly taken, I actually think I've done a 180 since my original opinion that Detective Pikachu would be amazing and this would be quite bad. I really enjoyed Detective Pikachu, but my hype definitely did destroy the film a little bit for me. They showed almost all of the funniest parts of the film in the trailers ahead of its release, and though I had fun watching it and would definitely watch again, it hasn't really stayed with me as that much of a memorable experience. I thought it would completely outclass Sonic the Hedgehog, especially when the tone of the original trailer was first hinted at, but through the passing of time, it's clear that there's more to it with this movie, and it might actually end up being just as good or even better than Detective Pikachu before it. That's not to say it also hasn't had its best parts spoiled. I think it probably has, to be honest, but here's hoping there's still some surprises left and the film ends up not disappointing. So that's it from me today, but what do you think? Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the Sonic movie after the changes made to it and the endless amounts of hype? Let me know in the comments section below, and if you're interested in more discussion, hop on over to my Discord too. At this time, I'd like to thank my Patreons who help make videos like this possible, with a special shout out going out to Top Hat Gaming Man, Proggy Froggy and Hug Slade, who are donating at the top tier. If you'd like to join them, please head on over to my Patreon to find out more about how you can support the channel.